This time we were trying to do something a little bit different. We were trying to bring some tactical medicine to the conference, and we had a number of things running, and we were just playing a small part of that. And our main focus was pain management. So pain management and tactical environment. And if we could sit down all the people on the course and ask them to talk about pain relief, they'd just churn it out and they know what they're doing. But suddenly it was pain relief in a situation where you've got to think very quickly. You've got someone with a very high pain score that needs rapid control of that pain. You need to keep them quiet. And at the same time, you've constantly got the threat that you may have to move, and you've got multiple injuries to deal with, manage them, manage the pain, and then be prepared to move.
Pain is a huge thing. I mean, I can't agree with you more. We have a huge arsenal there at the moment of medications we can use to address certain types of pain, depending on the cause of what's caused that pain. Today, the incident, we had a young girl who I believe who was shot. She'd fallen from a height and she'd got pain issues with regards to her pelvis and other injuries going on, and a major hemorrhage as well. How would you have likened to see this patient being addressed or dealt with today?
I think the thing that we tried to get over to people was, obviously your initial assessment, is there anything immediately life-threatening? So we looked, there was no massive hemorrhage, there was bleeding from the leg, but it wasn't catastrophic. This person wasn't going to die from that. Then there was no airway issue. She was clearly screaming and maintaining her airway and breathing effectively because she was doing that. And so we then got everyone to focus on the pain. As you say, it wasn't going to kill her, but it was certainly the thing that was causing most distress. And in that environment, it was putting everyone at risk. While there's someone screaming, there's something going on here, there's people here, and that we had to bring that down. Short of putting a hand over her face, we wanted to give her some effective pain relief. So I wanted something that would work very fast and was simple to administer. We haven't got time to cannulate at this point. IM is unreliable. You're not going to give her anything like Entonox because she probably had chest trauma from the fall, and she did have a gunshot wound, as you say, in her back. So the best two suggestions that I heard today, there was intranasal fentanyl, which is great, and we discussed around that, and the other one was Penthrox. Obviously Penthrox, very much a new kid on the block, and it was great to see people adopting that early because it's such good pain relief so quickly.
How did those teams interact today with your scenario?
Well, I think it was really interesting because when I first raised the question about the pain and put it to everybody, there were a few of the docs who went straight in with intranasal fentanyl, this, that and the other, and then one of the guys just went, hang on a minute, simple things, I just immobilised the fracture, and we're like, absolutely. And I mean, that it's not a great way of relieving pain, but it's something that even the basic first responder can do. That they can go back to simple principles, and for the high level responders, they mustn't forget that. These things are still important, and it's not just the pain, it's reducing bleeding and everything. So that was really nice to see today. And I think the challenge for us is embracing all those different levels and taking them not immediately in at the top, but let's build it up from ground zero. What are the simple things we can do, and then build it up? Because often, even when you've got your higher level advanced medics there, you're going to do the simple things. Like we were saying, hemorrhage control is not hugely complicated, but that could have been the life-saving thing. And analgesia is the same. Start simple and build up.
And you put a little caveat in, I have to say, which was great to see. I mean, you had the patient falling from a height. They had obviously pelvic injuries. The pelvic binder was there staring everybody in the face. They knew what they had to do with it. And then all of a sudden they had this fractured femur. What was your reason behind the fractured femur with the pelvis? Were you trying to prove a point?
There were a couple of things. There was the first fact, there's often debate about whether you can use a traction splint when you got pelvic injury, and obviously we discussed that. We said with that particular traction splint, yes, you can. The second thing was not being just so drawn into the pelvis, and obviously the open tibia as well. There's bleeding there, there's bone sticking out. Meanwhile, there's this slightly swollen thigh that's bruised, but as they started to get some control of pain and got some splints on, they realised there's still something going on here, and that's how it came out. So yeah, when you've got multiple problems, it's very easy to miss something really big. And you also noticed the gunshot wound. We weren't putting that in there to throw people, but if they didn't, normally we try and avoid log rolling in blunt trauma now, and yet here, this is a tactical environment. People are being shot, and although they didn't realise that was a problem, when they rolled it, finally oh god, there's a gunshot wound here, and although it wasn't causing massive problems for her, there's a slight dip in SATs. If you don't examine someone thoroughly, just because you think you've ticked all the boxes, it's very easy to miss something.
So I mean, the part of the teams obviously that were involved in it, like every major emergency we've all been involved in, when you walk away you kind of, what have I just done? I can't remember anything at all. What was the key points you want each of those groups to take away with them today? What was the key lessons you wanted them to bring with them?
There were a couple of key things, and we park the analgesic aspect for a minute and we think about it. The whole tactical situation, we try to get over the fact that it's quite unusual to take medics into a tactical environment. But as was pointed out by Carly and Samu in Paris, you don't always know where the hot zone is. You don't know where it starts and finishes, and all of a sudden, somewhere that was only a warm zone or even a cold zone, can suddenly you're in the thick of things. So there are going to be situations where you've got your medics there, and when you're in that situation, we gave them firearms officers to look after them, and we said, this is your guardian angel. This is the person who is ultimately in charge. And certainly with some of the groups, it was amazing to see the firearms guy saying to them, we're going to have to move. We need to move now. It's not safe. And you got guys going, oh, just 2 minutes. Will be 2 minutes? And then they turned around in the debrief and said, well, you all died. I ran out of bullets and you all got shot. And a lot of them were quite shocked by that. Whoa, hang on a minute. This is totally different to just saying just 2 more minutes on the side of the road because they're getting cold. And I think that was really important. The other big one was just basic CRM. Because they're not used to working together, because they didn't know each other that well, there were very few groups that did the sort of standoff outside and go, right, who's going to be team leader, who's going to do airway, who's going to do this. They just all charged in. Some of them left the kit outside, and then they had to go back out under fire and get the kit back. And it's simple things they'll never forget. That's what's so important.
So CRM being crew resource management worked well, very evident amongst the people that have been to the talk the previous day, and you could see working part of it as well on the day. Will you come back to us?
Oh, try and keep me away.
Listen, it's been great speaking to you again. And as a good friend, thank you very, very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Thanks, Pat. Cheers.